Okay, lastly, let's look at 2E. Now, in this circuit, in this case, what we have been asked to do is calculate the peak reverse voltage on the diode. Now, what is the reverse voltage? The reverse voltage is the maximum voltage on the diode when it is in reverse bias, or the maximum magnitude of the voltage on the diode when it is in reverse bias. Okay, so the diode is in reverse bias, right? So let's replace the diode with the open circuit. We've done that here. Okay, and let's say we say this is your diode voltage, right? So how would the diode voltage look? So we can write the equations for the diode voltage, right? Now, okay, but before we do that, we just need to figure out what the current is through this circuit. What's the current flowing in this circuit? It has to be zero. Do you see that? It has to be zero because this is open circuited. Or in other words, the diode is reverse biased, so no current flows through it. So then what is V out equal to? Because there is no current flowing, the drop across the resistance is going to be zero. So V out is equal to zero, right? So let's write the equations. So what is VD then going to be? One way of thinking about it is to just write the equations of all the voltages in this loop. Okay, so let's start from here and we'll go around the loop and come back like this. Okay, so starting from here, we have a increase in the voltage of VD. So we can write VD, and then we go along this power supply and we have a voltage decrease of Vn, right? The plus is here, the minus is here. So we have a voltage decrease. So minus Vn, and then across the resistance, your voltage is zero. So, or if you want to look at the direction here, there is a increase in voltage, isn't it? From minus to plus. So there's an increase in voltage. So you can write it as plus V out. And where do we end up after writing this? You end up at the same point where you started with, which means that that the voltage is the same. So, or all this is equal to zero because there's no potential difference. Uh, Once you have moved from here and accounted for all the voltages, you reach at the same point. So the potential difference is zero. So that's what we've written. Now we know that V out is zero. So we'll leave it at that. And that gives us VD equal to Vn. Right? So the diode voltage is the same as the input voltage in if the diode is in reverse bias, which means that if you plot your diode, you plot your input looks like this, and we know that the diode is in reverse bias here, right, in the negative half cycle of the, and at those times, what is your diode voltage? It's simply like this, equal to Vn. When the diode is in forward bias, we know that the diode voltage is zero, right, because the diode is short circuited, which means the voltage is zero. So what is the maximum peak voltage across the diode? It's going to be this voltage, isn't it? And what is that value? That is 2.5 volts. Okay, so the maximum reverse voltage in the diode, so let's say VD max reverse is equal to 2.5 volts. Hope that makes sense.